Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Hey, before we talk Saints Raiders, can we sort of unpack this whole Jameis, is he hurt? Is he not hurt? Why are they going with Dalton thing? I saw Nick Underhill's tweet from obviously neworleans.football that Jameis has a torn something or other in his foot. Sounds painful.
Right.
Am I honestly to believe that dude's got a ruptured tendon in his foot and 4 broken vertebrae, but he's actually straight? Like, this is just a performance decision right now?
Well, here's the thing. This is a cliche, but no NFL player is ever fully healthy.
Absolutely.
So healthy can mean so many different things. But he is clearly healthy enough to play now because he was active for the last 2 games. They called him an emergency third quarterback the first time, but last week he was the backup. If Dalton got hurt on the first play, he would have played the whole game. He's fully participating in practice now. So he is now healthy enough to play. If the Saints were just waiting to give him his job back as soon as he was healthy, Drew Brees, for example, we heard about some other injuries we never knew about after Drew Brees' 2020 season that he was fighting through all year. If this was a Drew Brees situation, or we knew when he, broke his ribs and punctured his lung, as soon as he was ready to come back, and whatever that was, 75%, 80%, 90%, they gave the job back to Drew Brees. So Jameis has now reached the point where he would be healthy enough to reclaim his starting job if Jameis was the one they wanted to go back to. And Dennis Allen kind of clarified that Jameis could go back in now, but we're sticking with Andy Dalton. Now, the only qualifier to that is, would it be different if Jameis was 100% healthy? Would it be different if Jameis never had those kind of injuries and they didn't limit him at all? That might be the answer to the question 2 weeks from now. If Andy Dalton starts to struggle, they might turn back to him. But at this point, Jameis Winston is healthy enough to at least get back on the field, and Dennis Allen is choosing not to put him out there.
So, very well said. And you did sort of allude to what my next question was going to be, which is, what would it take then for the Saints to put Jameis Winston back on the field?
It would take the offense struggling more than they are now. I wondered if the 2 pick sixes might be what it took. I mean,
right?
I wrote Thursday night that Andy Dalton was 2 quarters away from, or 2 quarters and 2 minutes away from, securing the job full time, I thought, because the offense has been playing a lot better, and it doesn't surprise me. The only thing that surprises me is I thought Dalton might have blown it when he threw 3 interceptions. Now, the first clue that we probably should have had is that Dennis Allen detailed why he didn't blame Dalton for either of the 2 pick sixes. The first one, he said, bounced off the receiver's hands. The second one, he said the quarterback got hit as he threw. And that sounds like excuses, but it at least makes sense. The other point I've been saying over and over again is I actually thought maybe it would be Jameis Winston's turn. I almost just out of merit and deserving. Like, Jameis Winston's career might be done if he doesn't get back in there and get a chance to prove himself again. I think it's going to be hard for any veteran to find a job next year when all these rookies come into the NFL. So if he doesn't make it here, I don't know where else he gets an opportunity. So I don't think he's done enough to never get that opportunity again. He played with a broken back for 3 games, and when he's healthy, I think he can play a lot better. But all of that being said, I see why you would want to stick with Andy Dalton. The offense has not been perfect, obviously, with the turnovers and the penalties, but they've done a lot of things really well, starting with rediscovering their run game. But they're number 1 in the NFL in points scored over the last 3 weeks. They're top 5 in pretty much every offensive category over the last 4 weeks. And there are so many things that are broken on this team that if you're Dennis Allen, the last thing you want to do is roll the dice on offense. That's one thing that is sort of on the mend right now.
Mike Triplett's with us, neworleans.football. We are always brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com, bennyscarwash.com. Learn more about the Wash Club memberships as well. You can also get discount on gasoline when you are a Wash Club membership there at Benny's. All right, one more on quarterbacks. I don't want to talk about Saints Raiders. Am I to believe that this decision essentially suggests Jameis Winston will not be the Saints' future? And if so, what do they do?
Well, there's no way they can answer that yet. I guarantee you they want to upgrade that position in the future, but I'm not sure what they're going to find. I mean, I think we need to wait almost till week 18 of this season to know which veteran is the leading contender to be the veteran that returns next year, if either one of them. But, if Dalton holds on to this job for the rest of the year, then obviously they're not bringing Jameis back next year. If Jameis regains the job in a month and finishes the season strong, maybe he will be the leader next year. But they're not going to get a top 10 pick at quarterback. I mean, unless there is a Sean Payton sweepstakes that blows all of our minds, I don't think they're going to get high enough to take the sure thing rookie. Could they trade their way up or get a Sean Payton draft pick that helps them get somebody in the Kenny Pickett range or Mac Jones range? That's possible. Or, there's also the wild card possibility of there's going to be a lot of musical chairs at the quarterback position. If draft analysts say there's 5 or 6 rookies coming in the league in the top 40 picks next year, I don't know exactly who they're going to be, but there's going to be a Sam Darnold out there. There's definitely probably be a Baker Mayfield out there. There might be a Zach Wilson out there. There might be a Justin Fields out there if the Bears struggle. There's going to be some other versions of Jameis. Mac Jones might be out there if Bailey Zappi wins that job. So there's going to be a lot of interesting, imperfect veterans or young players who need a second chance. None of them are super enticing, but there's going to be a lot of options out there.
Mike, I mean, if you're trying to tell me Bailey Zappi or Sam Darnold is the Saints' answer, I mean, we about to enter a dark winter.
Answer is carrying a heavy load right there. The quarterback is not going to be the strength of the new. I will say this definitively. The quarterback will not be the strength of the 2023 Saints.
By the way, Mike, Jameis has an $11 million dead cap number. They're going to cut him?
Well, first of all, a dead cap money. That's cap money no matter what.
Right.
They paid him $15 million this year. They chose to structure the cap the way they did. Every single player that doesn't make this team next year is going to have a big dead cap number. That's how the Saints have done business to keep things afloat. They won't let that make them keep Jameis Winston as their quarterback if they don't think he's the answer. They won't pay him another $14 million in new money next year if they don't think he's the best man for the job.
Okay.
But I think there is still a path for him to have a strong finish to this season and to go into next year healthier and take another crack at it. It seems a lot less likely now, but it's not. I don't think the door is slammed shut yet.
Okay. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. A conversation brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. All right, let's talk about this weekend, Mike. Look, it's pretty desperate. And incredibly, they're a game out of first place. So do you think there is I understand mathematically, Mike, that mathematically there is a path. Do you believe that is realistic to win this division?
Right, well, that's probably more of a Tampa Bay question than it is a Saints question. I think if the Saints are actually going to get healthy, which, I mean, boy, I hope we see Marshawn Lattimore and Michael Thomas back in the next few weeks, just because I'm covering this team and I'm watching this team, and I'd like to see what this team looks like with 2 of their 5 best players back on the field. And Marshawn Lattimore couldn't possibly be more important with the attrition they've had in the secondary. So if you're telling me those guys get back and they figured some things out and they're going to maybe get a little more turnover luck and maybe they're going to win some close games, then maybe there's a path to finishing 6-4 over the final 10 games. I don't think that's an unrealistic hope for this team. But 6-4 gets you to 8-9. So I need to know a lot more about what the hell is going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before I can believe 8-9 will win this division.
Yeah.
My brain says no, but the Buccaneers just lost 21-3 to the Carolina Panthers. So if no team in this division is capable of winning 9 games, then sure, maybe. But I think the Saints can either finish 7-3 or 8-2 to finish 9-8 or 10-7? That I think is pretty unrealistic.
Right. Who is going to play cornerback against Las Vegas?
Well, they sure do like Alontae Taylor. Now, don't take either Dennis Allen vouching for Alontae Taylor or me vouching for Alontae Taylor as throw it back in our faces if he struggles. He's a rookie second-round pick who has 2 career games under his belt. So there will be ups and downs for him. But it was pretty eye-opening how much Dennis Allen praised him for competing and using the word frickin', and he did that's what Saints football is supposed to look like, and that's what we expect from all of our players. I guarantee you he was in front of the team using him as an example of this is what you should all be looking like out there. So he has obviously earned his way into more playing time and more learning on the job. This week it's an easy solution. It's Alontae Taylor on one side and Paulson Adebo on the other side. If and when Marshawn Lattimore comes back, I shouldn't say if and when. Marshawn Lattimore will come back eventually within a couple of weeks. But when Marshawn Lattimore comes back, I'm really interested to see if Alontae Taylor can beat out Paulson Adebo for that other cornerback spot. Unfortunately, the nickel it's still those same guys, Chris Harris and Justin Evans, who have really struggled to fill the nickel role throughout this year. PJ Williams, I think, might come back next week. That could help.
Yeah. Because we saw Roby go to IR, but
yeah,
golly, I mean, and Chris Harris has been called up from the practice squad 3 times, so they would have to sign him to the 53.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will sign him this week. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'm assuming they will.
Well, it's just dire. Last thing for you, is there a matchup in this game? I mean, you look at it's a basic pick 'em. I mean, Vegas has struggled in their own right. Is there a matchup in this game when you look at it, you say, man, they really have to do well there to win this game on Sunday?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious ones are Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. It's not so much a matchup as it is the Saints need to eliminate giving up the 2 40-yard plays every game that they seem to give up. Make them work for it. Devontae Adams is going to get his, but at least make it look like what DeAndre Hopkins looked like last week. Was it like 9 catches for 99 yards? Like it was slow knife cuts, but do not give up the 50-yard over the top pass. Do not get the defensive C just opened up and Josh Jacobs ran for 45 yards down the field. That's so uncharacteristic of this defense in recent years, and that's got to stop. I would say particularly the run defense, because I think we know the secondary has its issues with the missed tackles once guys are getting into the second level of the defense, and we know they're down to their 8th and 9th options in the secondary. So I think the defensive interior they don't have that excuse. They've got their starters in there. They've got David Onyemata and Chai Tuttle in there. They've got Kentavious Street, Tano Passignon, and probably now Peyton Turner in there to rotate in. I think that defensive front needs to say, we're going to stop the run and we're going to make them, at least be one-dimensional. When teams have been running as easy as they have this year, which is so uncharacteristic of this defense, I don't think they can stop the Raiders if they're letting them run like that.
DeAndre Hopkins, 10 for 103, a long of 18.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not ideal, but, it wasn't like the Jamar Chase 60-yard touchdown.
Which was going to be the next words out of my mouth. Why couldn't he have hurt his hip in the third quarter against the Saints? Like, why did it have to happen now? All right, he's Mike Triplett.
Well, they said he originally got hurt against the Saints. They must have had a good shot for him during that game.
That or adrenaline, whatever it was, carried him through. He's on Twitter at Mike Triplett, neworleans.football. Our conversations with Mike every week brought to you by Benny's Car Wash, bennyscarwash.com. Make sure you ask about their Wash Club memberships. You get unlimited washes throughout the month and discounts on gas at the Be Quick when you're a member over at Benny's. So bennyscarwash.com. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.